All right, for more on this, let's welcome Stefanie Fick, OUTA's Executive Director. Stefanie, thank you so much for your time and good afternoon to you. So let's get your reaction then as OUTA. I mean, you just heard now the MEC saying that we are 3.8 billion rand poorer, but we are not bankrupt. I mean, just your reaction on the fact that this e-toll debt has now amounted to 20 billion rand. Of course, it is going to put significant pressure, I would imagine, on Gauteng's budget.
Let me start off by saying that this whole e-toll debt has confused us right from the start. So, the first question is, why are we talking about that amount of debt? If you go look at their annual reports and just quickly, the GFIP, just the GFIP alone already received, in excess of 26 billion rand for the GFIP upgrade. Now, if you put everything together, in other words, that is the building of the roads, the administration, and et cetera, then where do they get to this amount of money that is still outstanding? And then secondly, we must also just remember that province and local government eventually gets their money from national. These are national roads. These are roads that should be maintained by Sanral. And why sort of Gauteng agreed to paying a portion is also for us, we can't explain it. Everybody's paying for everybody's roads. Gauteng is the economic hub of South Africa. It contributes more to the GDP of South Africa than any other province. So why Gauteng is willing to pay this debt in the first place, a debt that we do not know where the amounts are coming from, is worrying. But at least it's the end of e-tolls, and it is a tragedy that there's not enough money in order to repay the individuals that paid for e-tolls.
And I want to come back to that portion that you speak of in terms of repayment. But just in terms of your point that you make in terms of where this money is going to come from, I mean, they do talk about the Gauteng provincial government planning to use a new revenue enhancement strategy, to pay the bulk of this debt. Do you think then they are going to be taking significant amounts of money from various departments? I mean, especially as you consider that already we know that departments like health and education are under immense strain in the province and, in fact, in the country.
Yeah, they shouldn't. And that's also worrying that they think that they can take money out of other departments that's already struggling. Like I've already referred to the fact, money comes from national. And although we have to look at how municipalities and our local governments spend their money and how province spends, their money, that we cannot afford for Gauteng government to take some of the money that's supposed to go to health, etc., to go to the GFIP upgrade. That GFIP upgrade, right from the start, was, marred with corruption. We paid nearly double the amount we should have paid for the, just the construction of the road. The administrative costs went sky high. It was different to the amount that was initially in the bids and the tenders, etc. Now, at the end of all of this, Gauteng, the people of Gauteng still need to bear the brunt of, government's inability to make this process affordable, make it, without corruption. And I think that is totally unfair. The fact that Gauteng is paying this bill is definitely not the motorist's fault that said that the e-toll scheme is unlawful. The fault of the government not having enough money for this can be purely laid at either the feet of Sanral or national government.
Yeah, I mean, in 2023, I think in the beginning of that particular year, we heard, of course, from the Gauteng Premier that 6.9 billion rand would be, refunded to motorists that had paid e-tolls. But he then backtracked from that particular statement. I guess Maile today just put that nail in the coffin when he again reiterated that motorists who paid for e-tolls will not be refunded. I mean, that has to, put some form of or lack of trust again into government from motorists who, when government initiates some of these, projects, then backtracks. It does kind of put that divide even further in terms of what next are they going to introduce and then have to, pay for motorists.
Yeah, it is correct. I think right from the start, we did say that there will probably not be enough money in order to refund all the entities that paid. And you must, and on a practical level, it becomes a bit of a burden, because if you think about, for example, the bigger companies that rent out vehicles, they passed an e-toll debt passed onto the user. So how are you going to manage the paying back of the money? Plus, ETOS was not unlawful in the legal sense. We said it was an unlawful scheme right from the start because of how it was done. But in the books, it says that you need to pay ETOL. So there's no grounds on which government is obliged to pay it back. But when it comes to, can we trust government? That is a different question, because yes, they did make the promise. Was that, for example, yet again, was that a political ploy? Just before elections, we're going to do this, and then they don't. That's one possibility. And then just the pure impracticality of actually doing that. And then the fact that there is not enough money. We've already heard the sort of the warning that there's probably not going to be enough money for some of the departments in Gauteng, which is totally unacceptable.
Well, Stefanie, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Advocate Stefanie Fick there for us from OUTA, of course, responding to this e-toll story.